Hey, good evening, and welcome to Paranormal Lens, sponsored by Jott-Nyx Paranormal. That's Jamie Widener, and I'm
Hello.
Chad Thomas, and we are here to talk to you about the paranormal and all that fun stuff. So, how's your week, Jamie? How's it going?
It's been great. It's been fast. It is Tech Week for the kids' theater program. So, as you know as well.
Hmm.
Um, so it's late nights and early mornings, which are, just so much fun with teenagers. Um, you know,
Your definition of fun and my definition of
yeah,
fun.
it's sarcasm. So
Okay.
I'm fueled by sarcasm these last couple of days. So,
Okay.
but I want to tell you something, Chad. I got to tell you a quick story.
Okay.
Earlier today, I went to a funeral.
Okay.
Um, and a dear cousin of mine passed away, and it
Um,
reminded me of something
mhm.
that I want to ask you and our audience if it's something that sounds familiar. So, a quick backstory: my family has had some tragedy. We've lost a lot of folks along the way, and on Sundays we have at Mount Joy, Pennsylvania, where we are, right. So
Mhm.
my family is actually buried in the same cemetery as the Booby family. Go
Okay.
figure. I passed the Boobies today as I went around to where our plots are, and it reminded me that when we were kids, our parents and our aunts and uncles and all our cousins we would rally at the cemetery after church, sometime in the early afternoon, and have a picnic at the cemetery.
Hmm.
And spend time, commencing with our, each other, but also there to pay respects to our family. And as very young children, and I'd say I was probably 4, 5, 6 years old, we got bored quick. So we would drift
Right.
off and run around and play. And into amongst the tombstones, and there was a reservoir nearby that had like a track around it. So we would go up there and run around and burn off all the energy that the calories that we inhaled. So,
Hmm.
but I'm wondering, has anybody else ever done something like this? Because we were chatting about it because we haven't been doing like all together there at the same time for quite a while, and our there were very young ones who were about the age that we would have been
Hmm.
who were doing exactly the same thing we did.
Uh-huh.
And, we were kind of, my cousins and I were chatting about it and laughing about it. But
Hmm.
and I thought, how strange is this to other people?
Well,
I wonder.
I didn't have the same experience, but I didn't grow up near family. So it's like not like like my father's family was probably 15, 20 miles away, and my mother's family was an hour and a half away or 2 hours away. So we didn't grow up around those, but I remember, going to church and some of the churches having a graveyard
Sure.
or cemetery, and like going to a picnic and running around, doing the same sort of thing, but yeah, we didn't gather and do that. But I think that is an interesting part of culture. And when we talked about the cemetery in Philadelphia,
Mhm.
we talked about how that was a big part of culture for a while. So
Yes.
so yeah.
That came to mind as well.
Hmm.
And, this is nowhere near the size of that. It's a hilltop. It's got a fantastic view. It's always kind of pleasant there. It's appeasing. Like it's not like just crammed in some place with high walls around. And nothing wrong with that either if it is
No.
the necessity.
Hmm.
It's just one of those places where it would be nice to spend time.
Hmm.
And we did. We sure
Right.
did.
And that's some of the reasons they were built in those places. So
Sure. Makes sense.
So you could rest in eternity there, but when your family came to visit, they were looking over a nice, peaceful, place that they'd want to be as well. So,
Of course.
um, so Todd and Carmela are with us tonight, and they say that they're sorry for your loss, Jamie, and as well as Jim. So,
I love Jim's comment. Sorry for your loss. Yes, but we used to get yelled at to not run over the graves. Yes, sir, I did too. I remember that now that you said it. But it was okay to be at least not in eyesight to climb on the tombstones, the vertical ones, but the flat ones we weren't allowed to be on those at all.
right,
Um,
right.
and for some reason that's a different kind of respect, I guess. But
Hmm.
um, yeah, running around the tombstones too as well. That was just we were okay with that, but we
Yeah,
couldn't run across the flat ones.
right.
Yeah. Okay. Good. I'm not alone. Thank you.
No, no.
And I told this story at work to a couple coworkers, and they said, "Was is that why you're into the paranormal?" Yeah, that's it.
No, I don't.
Okay.
I think it's a little, yeah.
Yeah. Okay, you got me.
So,
Anyway,
um,
I'm sorry. I sorry to take the time.
no, no, no,
Before
no. Jim said my
uh,
mother used to turn off the radio, so I don't know.
was that when it was time to go? The radio went down because I can understand that. That was your cue because you could hear you could hear music across the place. We had the same idea. We had like a car playing instead.
Mm.
someone's car radio playing instead, because we're all kind of close to that on the driveway. And when that, or a horn honked, because we could be
Yeah.
across the whole property. It's a pretty big place. We hear
Mm.
the car horn honking. We knew it was time to hustle back.
Yep. So Bert says good evening and prayers, and
Thank you.
Kathy says hi, guys.
Hey, Kathy.
Good friend Kathy.
Good evening.
So and Heather's looking for a tale from Ireland, and
Yep, it's coming.
I see. Jim said the dead didn't like the loud music in the car, so as they were going in, they turned it off. So that makes
Right.
sense.
That's fair.
Yeah.
That's fair. That's one of those times. If it's too loud, you're too dead. No, that's not the phrase, is it? Okay, never mind.
No, no. So should we move on, Jamie?
We probably should hop
All
to
right.
something else.
Okay. So, Jamie, I'm going to give you one last chance to say this because I know you've enjoyed it.
I have. I
What,
have.
what, what are we? What are we doing tonight, Jamie?
We are going to jump into Leap Castle.
We are. But Jamie, you're using the American pronunciation of the word for leap, but locally it is known as Lep Castle in Ireland. So I'm going to go with leap because I'm just going to confuse myself if I try to change, and I'll go back and forth. And
Well,
the other thing,
we have in many episodes we have blatantly Americanized things, so
that's true.
we're going to American it up in here, as I believe I've said before.
So, um,
Understood.
the other thing I really didn't think about this is being this close to St. Patrick's Day, and I scheduled an episode on an Irish castle. So sometimes luck just plays into it. So here we go.
Did you say the luck of the Irish played into it?
Maybe. So all right. So tonight we're going to start our episode on a road trip. Okay, we're in the county of Offaly, Ireland. We're in the foothold hills of the Slieve Bloom Mountains. We're traveling north on R421 from Rascrea to Kinnedy. So we're traveling through lush, rolling green farmland. We see fields full of different types of cattle. I'm sure that Heather was seeing the long-haired Highland cattle that she likes.
Mhm.
As we drive, we see the occasional machinery business or sawmill, but there isn't too much to see on this lonely Irish road. When we're about halfway to Kinnedy, we come across an intersection on our left. And we look across the road because we're driving on the other side of the road now.
Right.
We see an old stone structure sitting by the road. A few hundred yards behind that, we see an even older structure standing beyond a stone fence. Being the intrepid adventurers that we are, and maybe having spent way too much time with our good friend David, we decide to explore. We make our way through the wrought iron gate, down the hill to the weathered structure. The 3-story tower house, which, sorry, I forgot to do something here.
Oh
the
yeah,
3-story,
slides.
the
Yeah.
3-story tower house, which is most likely the original part of the castle, still stands in grandeur, even though it has been adapted over the years. The original 2 ordered doors that would have been there, and they've been protected by an upper machicol- machicolation, have been replaced. Now that is, I did some investigating on that. That is openings above the above the door in the base of the structure where there was a walkway where they could fire arrows and things down through. So anyway, so we gain access to the inside of the castle, and as we stand in the middle of the tower, we look around. We see mural passages, spiral staircases, fireplaces, and we imagine what it must have been like to live in this centuries old Irish castle. The air is heavy and thick with history, or is it something else we sense? Is there something lurking in the shadows? There very well could be. This is Leap Castle, and it has the reputation of being one of the most haunted castles in the world. This has been the site of family feuds, betrayals, executions, and ghostly encounters for almost 600 years. Does does this sound interesting? Apparently, Alexa thinks so. And do we want to know more? What do you think, Jamie?
So, pardon my Alexa for interjecting. Uh, let's go.
All right. Though we don't have an exact date as to when the castle was built, the structure that we know today is believed to have been built in the early 1500s. It is also surmised that this structure was built on an earlier castle, and before that, some believes that the Druids used the site for initiation ceremonies. As you can imagine, this site has seen much bloodshed, violence, and tragedy over the years. Our story begins somewhere in the late 13th or early 14th century. At this time in Irish history, the O'Carroll clan was the ruling clan of this area. Under them as the secondary chieftain was the O'Bannon clan. The legend tells us that the O'Bannon clan had picked the site to build their stronghold, but there were two brothers who were vying for control and chieftainship of that clan. The only way to settle the dispute was to have a display of strength and bravery. How do Irish do that? In this case, it was not about outdrinking one another, though that may have played into this. It was decided that they would both jump off the rocky outcrop where the castle was slated to be built. The survivor would have the honor of being the chieftain. Now, we don't.
Hold for a second, Chad. So we have about four comments in a row here that apparently you have frozen. You have not for me, and I'm seeing you crystal clear and hearing everything you're saying. So I'm not sure what that means, but we may be having some technical difficulties with our live stream here.